There have been iconic Pokemon teams, teams that etched their names into the history of the internet, teams that conquered the greatest of battles, that defied a meta, that rises to the occasion. And so I want to honor them by illustrating 3 teams that I felt left a lasting mark on the world of Pokemon content online, all the while explaining my thought process and my artistic choices. Their first team truly needs no introduction. I mean, where else do you find someone oral farming so hard they've got dedicated fan cams? Or make their opponents lose their minds just with a simple glance at their team, the Perish Trap team. Or
Wolfey Con Perish.
Perish Trap and Wolfey, at this point, they're practically symbiotic. He's won what, like 3 to 4 tournaments with this strategy? As someone who was introduced to VGC through his content, watching him play one of the most difficult team cons in the game and actually win against the best players in the world isn't just awesome, it's genuinely inspiring. I am a sucker for an underdog story. And that's not to say Wolfey is an underdog by any means. You know, he's a world champion after all. But just seeing him pull off one of the most unconventional strat and win with it is so tippable. Since Wolfey Con Perish has taken on so many forms over the years, I chose the version that won him EUIC. Not only is it arguably the biggest event he's won with that team, it's also the most recent. For the drawing itself, I wanted to capture a sense of confidence, so I chose to depict Wolfey walking off the stage, head held high, channeling the full energy of the world champ diff. I went with a darker, moodier atmosphere and strong backlighting from the big screen in the back to amp up the drama and highlight the silhouettes of each character. You know, drawing Pokemon can be tricky since a lot of them have really strange and organic shapes that make it hard to visualize them from different angles. My advice? Break them down into simpler forms. For example, Screamtail. Well, she's a big ass ball, so I probably don't need to show you guys how to draw a sphere. But with something more complex like a Koraidon, you can break it into distinct shapes to better understand and read its anatomy. And also, don't be afraid to use 3D models. You can find plenty of Pokemon models on Sketchfab. I use them all the time, and many professionals in the industry do as well. They help a lot. Oh, and funny story while gathering references when it came time to draw Wolfey, I had one specific image in mind. Like, when UIC was happening earlier this year and Wolf's player picture was making a round on social media? The one where he was like slicking his hair back, looking at us. Like that one, right? Like it was everywhere on Twitter. But when I needed it, I literally couldn't find it anywhere. So, as a last resort, I typed into Google. Yeah, listen, I'm not proud, but it worked. Anyways, I've drawn Wolfey's Orlando 2023 Perish Trap team before in the past, so drawing Gothitelle, Screamtail, and Amoonguss is nothing new to me, but the one I'm perhaps the most excited about is Incineroar. You might have seen the thumbnail and asked yourself, like, why is Incineroar there? He's not even important in Perish Trap teams. And that's true, but have you considered... Listen, I'm not presenting anything groundbreaking or pushing any narrative here. Pokemon themselves have pushed their agenda. And if you've seen Wolfey's post about this cat, it's honestly pretty entertaining to watch. It's like watching a romance anime where the tsundere female character does not want to admit their love for the MC. All jokes aside though, drawing this team again, especially with a new perspective, was challenging, but a fun experience nonetheless. I really tried to capture the balls it takes to win with such a difficult team comp like Perish Trap. And the fact that Wolfey himself seemed to like the final piece? Pretty fucking neat. I think I speak for a lot of people when I say we've all watched Jaiden's video about her first Nuzlocke like at least 15 times. Minimum. There's just something about it, like the storytelling, the animation, the humor, the perfectly timed punchlines. It checks every box for what makes a video unforgettable. It's more than just a great video, in fact. It's one that helped shape the landscape of Pokemon content as we know it today. Honestly, I'd go as far as to say it played a huge role in bringing Nuzlocke into the spotlight and showing just how emotionally powerful these runs can be. When it came time to decide which team to draw, I was torn. Like, do I handpick the 6 Pokemon I thought were the most iconic, or go with the ones that I thought would work best visually in a composition? But then I realized, like, who the hell am I to decide? Like, the 6 that made it to the end, the ones that stood tall at the Hall of Fame, that carried her to the title of Hoenn Champion, they're the ones that deserve to be honored. And so, I set off on the drawing. Since Blaziken is her favorite Pokemon, I knew from the start that capturing the bond between them was essential. I wanted them to feel completely in sync, so I gave them both battle stances that reflect their shared power and presence for beating a Nuzlocke. With this composition, my goal wasn't just to make the team fit together visually, but to let each Pokemon shine individually and as a team. Now I know we're technically limited to 6 Pokemon on a team, except Scarlet and Violet, but I couldn't just leave out Corn the Nuzleaf. Like the video portrayed his heroism so powerfully, he wasn't just a teammate, he was a symbol of sacrifice. I felt he deserved a place in this tribute. So I included him in the reflection of the moon, watching over the team, proud, content, and forever a part of their journey. I also wanted the drawing to carry a warm, sunset-like atmosphere, something that captures the feeling of finally watching the sun dip below the horizon after pushing through a long, difficult journey like completing a Nuzlocke. That moment of calm, of reflection, where the challenge is behind you and the victory feels earned. Visually though, it was a bit of a challenge. Like between the cool tones in the sky and the blue hues of many of the Pokemon, balancing the values to create enough contrast wasn't easy. But in the end, I added a rim light to help separate the forms and bring everything forward. And honestly, it made all the difference. It really helped sell the mood and give the piece that sense of strength and resolution that I was aiming for. Seeing Jaiden's reaction to this drawing, well, was for one, amazing and humbling. But also funny because she responds in the most whiplash-inducing of gifs, like between this crocodile literally exploding or Chikawa. Like the dichotomy between both gifs is honestly funny to me. Okay, before I dive in, I already know some people are gonna say like, "Wait, why didn't you join the Emerald Kaido team? That one's way more iconic." Blah 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 blah. And honestly, fair point. In fact, that run is what first pulled me into the world of Nuzlocke content on YouTube and led to me sinking hundreds of hours watching people like Wacko, DRXX, and of course, Pokemon challenges, also known as Pchal. But I chose to draw the Run and Bun team instead. And I have my reasons. First off, as of June 2025, 70, let this sink in, fewer than 70 people have ever beaten Run and Bun. 70. That's like about the same number of people who genuinely think Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl were good games. As a matter of fact, at the time he beat the game, there were actually less than 30 people who beat Run and Bun. Don't let the goofy name fool you. This ROM hack is brutal, and that's underselling it honestly. So brutal that most streamers who attempt it dedicate entire multi-hour streams to running damage calcs, pre-planning fights, and finding the thinnest possible win conditions with incredibly limited resources. And even if you sink 8 hard-earned hours of your life into calcing a boss or a gym fight, you can still get absolutely screwed by RNG, like getting hit by a random crit or a status effect. It's not just a hard game, it's an endurance test. A chess match with the AI cranked up to Magnus Carlsen level of difficulty, where one misstep can cost everything. And that's why I picked this team. The sheer difficulty of the challenge, the precision it demands, and the incredibly small number of players who've made it to the end, that deserves to be honored. Not to mention, the video that documented his winning run was practically a feature film with an entire hand-animated, anime-style opening and can fit the length of a cinematic masterpiece like Morbius. Twice. Much like the Wolfey piece, I wanted this drawing to carry a dramatic weight, so I went with a high-angle composition once again. But this time, the tone is way more serious. I wanted to reflect the months, the years of efforts, and strategy and perseverance that a challenge like Run and Bun demands. Every decision matters, and I wanted that pressure to come through in the visual storytelling. One of the toughest parts was figuring out how to fit all 6 Hall of Fame Pokemon into the frame without compromising the composition. It definitely took some trial and error, but in the end, I think I struck a solid balance. Honestly though, drawing these fuck-ass Pokemon in this specific angle genuinely took 5 years of my life away. But hey, it's great practice! For Yan's trainer, I drew inspiration from the anime style opening in the video, using it as a base while still putting my own spin on the character to stay true to my style. I also added a Pokeball-shaped podium to heighten the drama and give the piece a sense of ceremony. The glossy surface and subtle reflections help reinforce that polished, cinematic vibe that I was aiming for. Overall, I feel like I was able to bring my vision to life. I also did want to find a way to include Pilot the Solo from the EK run, but I just couldn't fit it in without throwing off the balance of the composition. And my ass was way too lazy to rework the whole piece around him. Also, shout out Yan for rocking it as his new phone wallpaper. Hearing that made my day. Drawing all these different Pokemon teams has been such a blast, not just from an artistic standpoint, but also as a longtime fan of the franchise. It's really cool to see the variety in people's tastes. It makes you realize that not everyone's favorite is Charizard, Gengar, or Pikachu. With over 1,000 Pokemon out there, any team of 6 is completely valid. Yes, even the ones with Calyrex or Blipbug. Each piece takes a fair bit of time, but honestly, this has been some of the most fun I've had with my art. I love being able to tell a story with my drawings, and I feel like with each piece, I told a unique and compelling story that in my eyes represent the Pokemon community online. Of course, seeing the people I look up to enjoy my work always brings a smile to my face. Many of you are already probably familiar with these creators, but just in case, definitely check out their content. I've linked all 3 channels down below. I hope you guys enjoy seeing the process as much as I enjoy drawing it, and maybe even pick up a few tips along the way. If you do, feel free to drop a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Till next time, you sexy beasts.